All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, everyone, I hope you stick with me through this one. I'm going to attempt to parse the story of one Andrew Tate. If you have not heard of Andrew Tate yet, it is legitimately difficult to describe to the general public. He is an American raised in the UK who resides in Romania. He appeared on Big Brother UK in 2016 and also has participated in kickboxing and combat sports, and at one point was even raided on human trafficking suspicions. Since then, he has built a burgeoning online presence that is probably best described as a central part of the manosphere, which at its best is a celebration of masculinity, how to be a well-functioning man in a turbulent society, and at its worst is mostly a bunch of losers complaining that women do not like them with extreme rhetoric. Tate has become a cause celeb for teenage boys in particular over the last several months as his online following reached critical mass. Much of his virality was driven by a scheme he had going which was called Hustlers University. I will not bore you with the specifics. It essentially was a multi-level marketing scheme where you pay $50 a month to post on his behalf about the benefits. The more people that you sign up, you make money, thus feeding itself more into the scheme. Scheme aside, it's obvious though, the guy struck a chord. The real question is why? Tate, at his core, is basically a self-help guru. He is a guy selling the prospect of, quote, escaping the matrix to help disaffected men who feel like they're down in life. That spans pretty much everything from money advice to lack of success with women to a general feeling of listlessness, which is often translated into rage. Tate's Instagram profile was rife with pictures in front of flashy cars, guns, smoking cigars, and beautiful women. His basic worldview is that the modern world is designed to keep men down, that men have let go of their masculinity, and all of this is downstream of a decline of Western civilization, the feminization of Western culture. Now that sounds good in the abstract, but it's not great considering specific instances. He's at least alluded to needing to be, quote, tough with women, and even at times making it seem like he'd be okay with outright violence. Again, I will not get into the specifics. Because he and his fans claim he's being taken out of context, I will encourage you to do a deep dive of your own. All of this has roiled to the surface in the last month, as videos of Tate and about Tate amassed literally 1 billion views on TikTok in just a month. And in July, he actually surpassed Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump as one of the most Googled people on planet Earth. Now, people immediately began freaking out, from feminist organizations to teachers who noticed how animated their teenage male students were in their praise of him, and a concerted cancellation effort began, which basically succeeded in the last week, when Tate was officially banned from all major social media platforms. He was banned from Instagram, Facebook, and despite not having a TikTok account, was banned there too, with the company saying they would be removing not only accounts associated with him, but perhaps even videos of all of his content. Both companies banned Tate effectively on the same day for violating their, quote, misogyny policy. Now, I am not going to defend anything Andrew Tate said. From nearly everything, though, from what I can tell, it amounts to a moral panic, and it refuses to actually grapple with why Tate was even popular in the first place. The core accusation of so-called feminist groups is that Tate is, quote, normalizing misogyny amongst teenagers, and that it is the responsibility of TikTok and Instagram to not promote such content. Teachers across the world, from the US, the UK, and Australia, have blamed Tate for a marked change in their students for unruly behavior. Now, first, I do not think teenage boys need a prompting by anyone to act like idiots. But again, I ask, why is Tate popular in the first place? To me, it's obvious. Something is wrong with young men across the West. We've covered it trends deeply on Breaking Points, but it bears repeating. Men are dropping out of college at a historic degree, widening the education gender gap. Men are much more likely today to be single than at any time in modern Western history. Male wages have stagnated, which has led to a crisis of marriageability. Declining single male wages over the last 30 years have made many men in America much less desirable partners. Now, you might think there's nothing wrong with that. Single days were fun, after all. But on a society-wide level, more single men has all sorts of downstream effects which are actually terrible. Listen to this quote. Single men are much more likely to be unemployed, financially fragile, lack a college degree than those with a partner. They're likely to have lower median earnings. Single men earned less in 2019 than in 1990, even adjusting for inflation. What's even stranger is this. Single women are actually earning the exact same amount that they were 30 years ago, but those with partners are earning 50% more than previously. Acknowledging this reality reveals a terrible reality for a lot of American men. The more and longer you are a single male, the worse your economic, health, and marriage prospects become. The more likely you are to live with your parents, and longer, the more and longer it happens, the larger the trend amongst the male U.S. population is, and the worst outcomes for men on a society-wide level. That cold hard reality is what created Andrew Tate and the conditions why he's popular. The explosion of popularity of figures like him, Liver King, many other similar ones, is really just a commentary on the failure of popular culture to provide men of all stripes, especially young ones, with figures they can look up to, which acknowledge the status quo and offer people a way out to things that men have always valued: fitness, status, seeking a partner. The real problem that we have is that all of those have been denounced as misogynist. They're values that you're not even allowed to acknowledge, even exist, let alone place a value judgment on them as good. In a world where MSNBC is claiming fitness is far right, and it sounds cringe to the mainstream ear to even say it's okay to want to be a man and pursue masculine activities, is it any wonder why guys like Tate are so popular? My critique of Tate, of who I see, is really just an heir to the 2010 era internet that I grew up on, with people like Tucker Max, Neil Strauss, Dan Bilzerian. They were worshipped similarly. Here's the newsflash though. With the exception of Bilzerian, both Max and Strauss moved on from that message, both advocating one today of living a fulsome and a balanced life that doesn't celebrate the extremes that they were once known for popularizing, and instead one of self-knowledge and growth. That's the real antidote to Andrew Tate. But the more social media companies and the more these so-called feminist organizations want to ban him, they will only embolden his ilk and his followers. You cannot ban an idea. You can only counter it. Until they learn that, this cycle will literally only repeat itself. It was actually fascinating to me, Krystal, to watch this play out because
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.